And welcome back to another video, and in this one I'm going to be replacing the 12-inch wheels with 10-inch wheels. This is the first time I'm going to be looking at these. So you're getting a good shot. These are 10-inch mini lights. So for a long time I've been wanting to get 10-inch wheels on Ed. I like these ones, they were on back order, out of stock. The COVID Brexit era, that's the guess. But I've waited a long time to get them. I got them with black insert, chrome surround, and I like the style. I also got them done with the tyres, so I've basically went for a bit more expensive, the Yokohama A008. So it's kind of a mid-range, not top, not bottom, but somewhere in the middle. But yeah, these are stunning, and when they're on the cart they'll look even better. Really impressed. So there was a bit of unboxing of the new wheels. I took my time with them, a lot of research. Chose the ones because I liked the look, I liked the size, and I liked what they were for me. If you're looking at doing the same, going down to 10s, do your research. There's so many things to consider, and I'm not going to go over them in this video because this is purely about the conversion. But things like wheel size, tyre size, offset, you know, there's a minefield of things to consider. New speedo cables, different suspension parts, there's a lot of stuff, so do your research to make sure that, one, you're getting the right setup for you, two, it's not going to foul, a safety issue obviously on either the brakes, the arches, there's a lot of things to consider, so do your homework, do your research. Like I say, I'm not going to focus on all of that stuff here. I'm simply focusing on changing from 12s to 10s, and that's what I'm going to crack on with just now. For myself, I went for 10x5s with a decent offset, so basically it's not going to rub on the arches. I was going to be close if I'd done 10x6s, and the ones I've got just now at full lock, that they're very tight, and over time as the suspension drops they'll catch, and I didn't want that, so I went with 10x5s. And I'm looking at, after I've done all this, new wheel arches, possibly group 2, but I'm still deciding on that. And when they're fitted, I can then look at adjusting the height, etc., to get the right clearance and the right setup and all that sort of stuff. So let's start off with the kit I needed as well as the wheels to make the conversion. As with the wheels, there's numerous different kits you can get, different ends of the spectrum, quality, and you know, I always say get what your budget allows, because these are brakes, and if you're wanting the best, if you're wanting longevity, pay for it. I went for the mini spares kit, kind of mid-range based on my circumstances just now, and I'm going to show you what you get in it and what you don't get in it. To enable the wheels to fit over the new brake calipers and setup, you need to go from 8.4 discs to 7.5 discs. And here is the stuff I get in the pack. So, the actual disc itself, the new drive flange, which attaches to the disc and on the CV joint, and of course the caliper itself. What you don't get with this kit, which I'm still undecided if I'm going to purchase later on or if I'm just going to leave it, is disc shields, brake disc shields, because the existing ones for the 8.5 foul on this. When it's tightened down, this will rub and catch, so they need to be removed. Now, there's varying opinion out there about leaving them off completely, because some say stones get caught between them, and then others say, well no, it's a guard to stop stones hitting in it. So as it stands at the moment, I don't have them. I'm going to fit this kit, then I can look afterwards to see if I'm going down the route of fitting these shields or not. But for the purposes of this video, this will all be getting fitted. What I need to do first is go to the car and get it jacked up, wheel off, and then when I'm at that stage I'll come back to you and I can go through how I get the old setup of this off. So, as I just showed you the new kit, the old flange, the old disc and the old caliper, and it really is as simple as taking them off and putting the new ones back on. There's obviously a few procedures you have to do along the way, but if you do it methodically then it's a really easy swap for a big difference in performance. To make it easier, turn it that way to get access to the caliper. Now the bolt here from the flexi hose is always going to be rusty because it gets everything flung up from the road. I'm going to clean this off first, get a bit of penetrating fluid on, and I'm going to loosen this first while it's held in place, just slightly, just to get the initial tightness off, because if you take this off and then try and do that, you're fiddling about and you're not getting any grip to take it off. So that's the way I do it. So this bit first. The hose needs clamped because this is getting taken off, and obviously the brake fluid will leak out if it's not. And I'm just going to use, not tight, but some vice grips on some towel. I do have hose grips there, but to be honest, this is much better. That'll stop any coming out. You might get a few drops, but other than that, ideal. And just to break it off, yeah, not tight at all. Loose enough now. I'm not taking it any further because it'll obviously twist the hose if I try to undo it just now. So the next thing to come off, the actual caliper itself. Now the brake caliper is dead straightforward. There's a bolt here and a bolt here. Not been off for a while. You might need a breaker bar extension, but as I said, these have been off, so they should be okay. Once they're out, it's just a case of lifting it off. Flexi hose should be loose enough, you can just undo this by hand. Now bearing in mind, the caliper will be full of brake fluid, so keep it this way up, otherwise if you tip it upside down, gravity will work and it'll leak everywhere. There we go. Keep that. That is your gasket washer. Next to come off is the hub nut, and before you do that you need to get the split pin out. What I will say with the kit I bought, you didn't get a new split pin for the hub, and you didn't get new bolts for the calipers, which for the cost of them, I think they should have been in the pack. Possibly something to note for mini spares, or to even tell you they're not included, because had I known, I'd have just ordered new. Socket is a 1 5/16, and the impact gun is always the best way to get this off, because you don't need to have the wheel on, it just, the vibrations will bring it off. Like that. cone washer. And the disc comes off. So I just wanted to show the reason that this disc shield needs to come off, because when this goes on, and bear in mind it's not got the flange in yet, it goes so far back that it fouls on here and it wouldn't spin obviously. So that's why this has to come off. This is held on by the two caliper bolts, but also by the a bracket on the tie rod end. So you need to take the bolt off the tie rod end and then this will just lift off. Obviously this goes back on. As I said earlier, I'm not putting disc shields on at this stage, so this just gets tightened here, and I'll torque that down to the right torque. The knuckle joint, if you're going from 12 or 13 inch wheels down to 10 inch wheels, will also need replaced. I have a shim in this type of knuckle joint I've got at the moment. It basically lifts it and gives more clearance for the bigger wheels, but this setup with the high-low, the top arm, needs to be removed. You can see in here where my finger is at the moment, there is a shim and that needs to come out. I'm going to do that when I do the suspension setup and not just now. It's just to make you aware this needs to be done as well. But for the moment I'm just going to carry on with reinstalling the new 7.5 inch brake setup. Right, the new disc flange just sits over the disc, and it has 4 of these. Okay, I'll get these torqued down and I'll get this on the car. I've cleaned up the hub and the splines in here, so there's no debris on it, and the disc and flange can just go on nice and freely. And then I just need to get the hub nut on, torqued up to the correct spec. I'm not going to do that on camera because there's 100 different opinions about how this is torqued up, the procedure. I'll do that in a separate video. But for the purpose of this, I'm getting the hub nut on and the split pin through. The hub nut is on, torqued up, and the split pin is through. Just need to get the caliper back on now. Don't forget the gasket washer, otherwise it will leak. Putting the caliper on, and I'm going to turn the caliper, not the flexi hose, and I'm obviously making sure that I'm not cross threading this. I'm going to nip it slightly tight here, and then I'll finally tighten it once it's attached to the hub. So this is the same as before, just the 2 bolts that hold it on. Torque these down to 52 Newton meters. And then the nut at the back onto the flexi hose I'm just going to nip up. And then I can release the clamp. And now the brake pads are to go in. Just the usual with the pads, just the copper grease at the back and sides to stop any squealing. avoiding the front friction surface obviously. Okay, these are slightly different to the 8.4 calipers. They've got a retaining clip and then the split pins go through. With the smaller ones it's just the split pin that goes through the actual pads and out the other side. One at the top and one at the bottom. Just make sure they do go through the pads. What I'm going to do with this side and the other side when I do it is just get some brake cleaner, clean all this down to get the protective surface clean, otherwise when you go to first brake it will not be very effective. I'm also going to go and bleed the brakes because it's got new calipers, so there's lots of air in here, and I'm not going to do that in this video because I've done that in previous videos and you can check out them if you need to know the procedure. So I'm going to go off camera, get these bled, and I'll come back when I'm ready to get the new wheels on. So just need to tighten the wheel nuts up, do the same in the back, the other side, and I'm done. Okay, it's been a few months now since I filmed that footage you've just watched of me changing to the 10-inch wheels. I thought I would just give my opinion on how I feel a few months later, having driven quite a few miles on the 10-inch wheels. And my opinion, it's one of the best things I've ever done to the car. Originally when I bought Ed, he was on 13s, didn't like them. Moved to 12s, they were a lot better. Now I've moved to 10s, they're so much better. They look better, the drive and handle a lot better, and just the general bumps in the road you don't feel as much, there's not as much vibration. The 12s I found sometimes with tramline when you hit a groove in the road, 10s are a lot better. I just, yeah, I couldn't recommend going to 10s enough. Definitely my preference out of the three choices there is. And yeah, I should have done it a lot sooner. So that's my opinion for what it's worth. I know a lot of people ask what people prefer. You can also play about with different suspension, hard suspension, cones, different variations. There's nearly endless possibilities, but I've got a few things I still want to do, looking at arches and things like that. But in terms of that conversion, yep, success for me. Really pleased to have done it, and yeah, I hope you guys got something out of watching it. I will end that one there. I'll say thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!